"This is my maid, and that is my wife," my husband bragged, calling me the maid and his mistress the wife. But he had no idea the apartment he thinks we're renting is actually mine, and the company he proudly works for? Also mine. But before I begin, please like and subscribe to the channel. And we'd love to hear which part of the world are you joining us from. Let us know. Now let's dive into today's story. This is my maid and this is my wife. These are the words I will hear in 2 weeks. But right now, I'm standing at the stove, stirring soup and listening to Oleg in the living room talking on the phone. His voice is satisfied, almost triumphant. Yes, the project is approved. There are no problems. Management approved my concept. Of course, I know my worth. It's about time I got a promotion, right? I smirk, looking at the boiling water. Management. If only he knew that management is me, that Tech Build Investments, where he's so proud of his position as lead project manager, belongs to me. That I was the one who signed the documents for his hiring 4 years ago when we just got married. That the salary he brags about comes from my pocket. But he doesn't know and shouldn't find out. I turn off the burner and pour the soup into a bowl. Cheap white bowls from the dollar store around the corner. Just like all our modest belongings in this apartment on the outskirts. 2 chairs with worn upholstery. An old TV. Linoleum that I scrubbed on my knees yesterday. An apartment on the 8th floor of a 9-story building where we moved after the wedding. Oleg thinks we're renting this place, paying for it, as he believes from his salary. In reality, the apartment is mine, bought in my name through a shell company before we even met. The rent money he faithfully transfers to the landlady comes right back to me. A cynical and sad circulation of money. Finally, Oleg enters the kitchen, tosses his phone on the table. I'm starving. What do you have there? Vegetable soup and buckwheat with chicken. He wrinkles his nose. Buckwheat again. Can't you vary the menu with the money I give you for groceries? I give you enough, he interrupts. You just don't know how to manage household expenses economically. My mother fed the whole family on that kind of money and still had some left over. Your mother lived in a different time, I want to say. But I stay silent because I know this conversation will lead nowhere. Oleg will sit down, eat, criticize the soup, too thin or too thick, too salty or too bland. There will always be something wrong. Then he'll say something about my hairstyle or figure and go to the room to watch football. It was like that yesterday, the day before, a month ago, a year ago. For years ago, everything was different. I remember that evening at a cafe in Manhattan. I wasn't hiding back then, wasn't pretending to be a poor girl. I came after a meeting at the office in a strict Armani suit with a briefcase. I sat by the window, ordered coffee, and saw him. Oleg was sitting at the next table, looking out the window. Handsome, thoughtful. He wore a simple sweater and jeans. When our eyes met, he smiled, simply, without flattery, without calculation. We started talking. He told me he worked as a manager at a small construction firm, dreamed of a career at a large company, talked about his projects, ideas, plans. His eyes were burning. I listened and thought. Finally a man who sees me as a person, not a source of money. Because before him there was Cyril. Cyril, whom I dated for 2 years. Cyril, who swore his love, talked about our future together, about children. And then I accidentally overheard his conversation with a friend. What difference does it make if I like her or not? But the money is serious. I'll put up with it for a while, marry her, then divorce and sue for half. That'll last a lifetime. I was 26 then. I had just pulled the company out of crisis, investing all my strength, all my time. And he was just waiting for the right moment to rob me. After breaking up with Cyril, I swore to myself the next man would love the real me. Without money, without status, without power. Just me, a woman named Alina. And there he was sitting in front of me. Oleg, with an open smile and honest eyes. I lied to him. I said I worked as an ordinary specialist, rented a room, barely made ends meet. He wasn't embarrassed, continued to see me, invited me to inexpensive cafes. gave me simple flowers from the market. 6 months later, he proposed. "Alina, I'm not a rich man," he said then, "but I promise to make you happy. I'll work, build a career, provide us with a decent life. Just be with me." I said yes, because I believed, because I thought this was real love. Now, for years later, I stand in this shabby kitchen and realize how wrong I was. The soup has cooled. Oleg pushes the bowl away. "Couldn't you keep an eye on it?" "Sorry, I got distracted." "You're always daydreaming." He stands up, irritably adjusting his shirt. "I'll go eat at a cafe." "And you?" He looks at me with disdain. "You should take better care of yourself. Look at yourself. You've gotten fat. Your hair's a mess, dressed like a housewife." I stay silent. I look at my reflection in the dark screen of the turned-off TV. A faded house t-shirt, old jeans, hair pulled back in a ponytail with a rubber band. No Armani, no high heels, no flawless makeup with which I conduct business meetings in my other life. Because I have two lives. In one, I'm Alina Sokolova, a nobody housewife, the wife of a lead project manager, who desperately tries to make ends meet on $1,500 a month. That's exactly how much Oleg allocates for household expenses. $1,500 for groceries, cleaning supplies, utilities, and maybe some clothing for myself. In the other life, I'm A.S. Sokolova, CEO and sole owner of Tech Build Investments. Annual revenue of $80 million, a staff of 300 people. I make decisions about constructing residential complexes and commercial real estate, invest in promising startups. I meet with officials, bankers, major investors. Twice a week, when Oleg thinks I'm working part-time as a bookstore clerk, I drive to the office, change into a business suit in the service bathroom on the first floor, take the elevator to my office on the 10th floor. I conduct meetings, sign documents, oversee projects, including my husband's projects. Oleg works on the 7th floor in the project management department. A good specialist, I must admit. He knows how to calculate risks, find optimal solutions. That's exactly why I allowed him to be hired when he responded to the vacancy. Let him not know about our connection. Let him just work. And he works. And I observe him through reports, through surveillance cameras in the office, through briefings from my deputy Boris, the only person who knows the truth about my marriage. "Are you sure you want to continue this game?" Boris asked me 6 months ago when we were once again discussing project reports. "I need to know for sure," I answered. "I need to be certain that he loves me, not my money." "Alina Sergeevna, you've been living in this illusion for 4 years. Isn't that enough?" Not enough, because Oleg changed gradually, imperceptibly, or I just didn't notice before. First came criticism, soft, seemingly caring. "Honey, maybe you should eat less sweets." "Darling, that hairstyle doesn't really suit you." Then the criticism became harsher. "Why can't you cook dinner properly? You bought the wrong thing again. God, how stupid can you be?" The household money decreased. First he gave $1,800, then $1,650, now $1,500. Crisis, honey, we need to economize. Meanwhile, he acquired new shirts, expensive watches, fashionable sneakers. Bonuses at work, he explained. Bonuses that I myself signed. And then came the late arrivals. "Got held up at work," he says, coming home at 11 p.m. I check through the access control system. He left the office at 6 p.m. Where was he for those 5 hours? Meeting with a client he tosses out the next day when he returns after midnight. I look at his schedule. There were no meetings. I don't tell him about this. I wait, observe. And today, when he leaves to eat at a cafe, I sit down at my old laptop. I log in through a secure connection to the corporate network. I open the surveillance camera recordings from the past week. 7th floor, project management department. There's Oleg sitting at his desk, working on a project. There he stands, goes to the water cooler, stops by Inga Malinina's workstation, architectural design specialist. Inga is young, about 25. Tall, slim, always impeccably dressed. I hired her a year ago, reviewed her resume and recommendations. A promising specialist, smart girl. Oleg leans toward her, says something. She laughs, tosses her hair back. He lingers beside her longer than necessary for a work conversation. His hand touches her shoulder for a second. I fast forward. There they are together in the conference room, bent over plans. Too close. His knee touches her leg under the table. Another day. They leave the office together, get into his car. I close the laptop. So that's where he spends his evenings. Inside, nausea rises. Not from pain, from the fact that I was right again. Again, a man who swore love, whom I trusted, betrays me. But this time, I'm not just a girl who is used. I'm his employer. I control his fate, his career, his future. And he doesn't even suspect it. I stand, approach the window. It's getting dark below. Streetlights are coming on. A residential district, gray, boring. Just like my life here. For 4 years, I waited for Oleg to show himself. To demonstrate real love, care, respect. To see me not as a housewife, but as a person. Instead, he found a mistress. Young, beautiful, successful. My employee. My phone vibrates. A message from Boris. Alina Sergeyevna. Reminder about the corporate event in 2 weeks. Presentation of the new residential complex for investors. Your presence is mandatory. Corporate event. I smirk. Usually, I don't attend such events. I appear via video conference, explaining it with being busy. Employees have seen me only a few times, and then briefly in a business suit with completely different makeup and hairstyle. Oleg has never seen me in the role of CEO. But this time, perhaps it's worth coming. I type a response. Boris, I'll be there. Prepare everything necessary. And invite all company employees without exception, including the project management department. The answer comes instantly. Understood. Will be done. Alina Sergeyevna, are you sure? I look at my reflection in the dark window glass. A tired face, cheap clothes, graying strands in hair that I haven't colored for 6 months because there's no money for a hairdresser. For years of humiliation, silence waiting. Yes, I type. I'm sure. It's time to end this game. The key turns in the lock. Oleg returns. I quickly close my phone, hide it in my pocket. You haven't cleared the table yet? He looks at the untouched bowls of soup. Completely lazy. I'll clear it now. And by the way, he passes into the room, tossing over his shoulder. In 2 weeks, we have a corporate party. Important event, there will be investors, big people. I'm invited with my spouse. I freeze with a bowl in my hands. You want me to go? Well, should I go alone? He smirks. But I'm warning you right away, no fuss. Dress modestly, behave properly. Don't embarrass me in front of colleagues and management. You understand, I'm on the verge of a promotion. I need to make an impression. I understand. And buy yourself a decent dress. He takes several bills from his pocket, carelessly throws them on the table. Here, $100. Should be enough. Find something at a sale. Just nothing bright, nothing flashy. A modest, simple dress, so it's clear you're an ordinary wife of an ordinary manager. $100 for a dress for an event where people will gather in suits worth thousands. Thank you. I take the money. I'll try to find something suitable. That's my girl. He's already absorbed in his phone, scrolling through something, grinning. Correspondence with Inga? Surely. Now let's go to bed. Early morning tomorrow. He goes to the bedroom. I stay in the kitchen, clutching the $100 in my hand. $100 he tossed me like a handout for an event at the company that belongs to me. I approach the sink, wash the bowl. Cold water burns my hands. I watch the foam drain away, dirty water disappearing down the drain. And I think, 2 more weeks. Just 14 days of this pitiful life. And then I'll become myself, the real me. And I'll see what Oleg says when he learns the truth, when he realizes that the maid was the queen, that the simple wife controlled his fate all this time. 2 weeks until the corporate party, until the moment when everything changes. I dry my hands with a towel and go to the bedroom where Oleg is already asleep, sprawled on the bed. I lie down on the very edge, trying not to disturb him. I look into the darkness. Before, this darkness pressed on me, caused melancholy and despair. Now a light has appeared in it. Small, but such a bright spark of hope. Soon it will all be over. Soon I'll stop pretending and start living for real. 2 weeks fly by amazingly fast or agonizingly slowly, depending on which of my lives I'm in at the moment. At home, time drags. Oleg has become even colder, more irritable. Now he hardly talks to me, answers in monosyllables, comes home late. The smell of someone else's perfume becomes more distinct. A light floral scent that clings to his shirt. Someone at your office wears a lot of perfume, I remark once, taking his jacket to wash. Yeah, our director's secretary, he tosses without looking up from his phone. Always dousing herself with that crap. Annoying. A lie. I know all the secretaries in the company. None of them wear such perfume. But Inga prefers exactly these scents. I saw the bottle on her desk when I was reviewing camera recordings. But I stay silent, just nod and go to wash his shirt, soaked with his mistress's scent. At the office, time flies. Boris prepares the event with German pedantry. Every day I receive reports. Guest list, banquet menu, presentation program, seating arrangements. Alina Sergeevna, he says at one of our meetings, do you really want this? A public exposure. It will be harsh. Boris, I've lived in humiliation for 4 years, I answer, signing another document. For 4 years I've pretended to be a poor housewife. Endured his condescension, his criticism, his lies. Isn't that cruel? He shakes his head. I just want to make sure you're ready for the consequences. After such a scandal, the company will withstand it. We work flawlessly. Our projects are successful. Finances are in order. The CEO's personal drama is a sensation for a week, no more. But your Oleg. I smirk. He'll have a hard time. My Oleg. Boris raises his eyebrows in surprise. Well, you hired him at my request. You supervised his work, watched over him. In fairness, he's a good specialist. It's a shame about his human qualities. A shame, I agree. But I made my choice 4 years ago. Now it's time to see the result. I buy the dress myself. Not for the $100 Oleg gave me, but at a boutique in Soho. Simple, gray, almost shapeless. Knee-length, modest neckline. Cheap synthetic fabric. Exactly what he demanded. So it's clear you're an ordinary wife of an ordinary manager. I bring the dress home, hang it on the closet door. Oleg critically examines the purchase. Fine. Modest. Though the fabric is kind of cheap, but what can you do? Main thing, don't stand out. Stay in the background. Talk as little as possible. If anyone asks who you are, just say you're my wife. No details, no extra words. Understood. And fix your hair properly. Not that stupid ponytail. And put on at least some makeup. Otherwise you're a complete gray mouse. A gray mouse? I smile to myself. Fine. I'll be a gray mouse. Until a certain moment. The evening before the event, Oleg comes home especially late. He smells not only of someone else's perfume, but also of wine. There's lipstick on his shirt collar, a crimson trace. Corporate meeting, he mutters, passing by me to the bathroom. Celebrated closing a project. I check. There was no project closing today. But there was a dinner at a restaurant for 2. Oleg and Inga. I accidentally saw the receipt. He paid for it with a corporate card that I allowed him to be issued for business meetings. So now dates with his mistress also happen at my expense. Amazing how far a person can go in their audacity. The morning of the event. I get up early. Oleg is still asleep when I go to the bathroom, washing off the image of the downtrodden housewife. I take a shower, wash my hair. The hair I haven't colored for 6 months looks dull. Gray strands are noticeable, but that's temporary. I apply light makeup, exactly as much as Oleg demanded. Blush, lipstick in a muted shade. No eyeliner, no expressive look. A gray mouse must remain gray. I put on the purchased dress. It really is awful, baggy, faded, made of fabric that gets static and clings to the body. Cheap, low-heeled shoes bought at a discount store. An old faux leather purse. I look at myself in the mirror. The woman looking back appears tired, beaten down, aged. You could give her 40, though I'm only 31. Perfect image. Well ready. Oleg comes out of the bedroom, fastening cufflinks on an expensive shirt. Hugo Boss suit, Italian shoes, new watch on his wrist. He looks successful, confident, attractive. And next to him, me. A gray shadow. Ready, I answer. Then let's go. And remember, behave quietly, don't attract attention. If someone talks to you, answer briefly. You're just a wife, a housewife. Nothing special. Nothing special, I repeat. Got it. We leave the apartment. Oleg gets behind the wheel of his car, an inexpensive foreign car he bought on credit 2 years ago. I sit next to him. He turns on music, hums along. In a good mood, anticipating the evening. And I look out the window where gray buildings float past the glass and think that in a few hours his world will collapse. And mine will collapse too, that world I built from lies and hope. The event takes place in the conference hall of a hotel in downtown. A large room with high ceilings, huge windows, crystal chandeliers. Tables with snacks and drinks line the walls. In the center is a screen for the presentation. Guests are already gathering. Men in expensive suits, women in cocktail dresses. Waiters serve champagne. I enter behind Oleg and feel the stares. Surprised, evaluating. Some recognize me. These are Oleg's colleagues whom I've seen on camera recordings, but they recognize me not as the boss, but as the wife. And they look with bewilderment at this strangely dressed woman next to the successful manager. Oleg! A man about 50 approaches us, extends his hand. Glad to see you. Is this your wife? Yes. Meet Alina. Oleg nods carelessly in my direction. Alina, this is Peter Nikolaevich, head of our department. Peter Nikolaevich, I know his file by heart. Has worked at the company for 8 years. Reliable specialist. 3 children. Wife is a teacher. Now, he looks at me with polite curiosity. Very pleased to meet you, I say quietly as befits a gray mouse. Likewise. He shakes my hand, but his gaze already slides further, losing interest. Oleg leads me to a distant table by the wall. Sit here. Get something to eat. I'm going to mingle with colleagues. And he leaves without even looking back. I sit at the table like a punished schoolgirl. Life bustles around me. People communicate, laugh, clink glasses. Waiters scurry between guests. On the screen appears the company logo, Tech Build Investments. Slogan, Building the Future Together. My company, my people, my event. And I sit in the corner in a cheap dress, interesting to no one. Alina. Boris stops nearby. He's in an impeccable suit with a folder of documents under his arm. He looks at me with concern. Are you sure? Yes, I whisper. When does the presentation start? In 20 minutes. First the cocktail hour, informal communication, then the official part. Good. I'll wait. He hesitates, wants to say something, but at that moment someone from the guests approaches him, and he's forced to be distracted. I observe the hall. There's Oleg standing in a group of colleagues, gesticulating, telling something. Everyone laughs. He's the center of attention, confident, charismatic. Then she approaches the group. Inga, tall, slender, in a fitted black dress with a deep neckline. Hair styled in waves, makeup flawless. She smiles at Oleg and he smiles back. His hand touches her back for a second, lightly as if by accident. But I see it's no accident. They're a beautiful couple, successful manager and attractive employee. Young, ambitious, promising. And somewhere in the corner sits his wife in a gray dress of cheap fabric. Inside, something tightens. Not pain. I've already lived through all the pain during these weeks of observation. This is something else. Cold, clear determination. 20 minutes pass. The lights in the hall dim. A presentation appears on the screen. The host's voice announces the beginning of the official part. Dear guests, we are pleased to welcome you to the presentation of the new residential complex, Northern Valley. This is an ambitious project that will become a new attraction point for city residents. The presentation proceeds smoothly. They show building plans, infrastructure, location advantages. Investors ask questions, receive answers. Everything goes smoothly, professionally. Then the host announces, and now we want to recognize our best employees who made a special contribution to the development of this project. Please come to the stage. Photos appear on the screen. First is Oleg. Applause. He goes up to the small stage where there's a podium with a microphone, smiles, accepts a certificate from Boris. Thank you, Oleg says into the microphone. It's a great honor for me to work at such a company. I'm proud that my work brings results. He speaks beautifully, confidently. The hall listens, nods. Then he's replaced by other employees, including Inga. She also receives a certificate, says words of gratitude. Oleg looks at her with admiration that can't be hidden. And then the host says, and of course, we cannot fail to thank our CEO, who rarely appears at public events, but always keeps her finger on the pulse of the company. Alina Sergeyevna Sokolova. The hall applauds. Oleg also claps, smiles. He thinks this is someone from upper management whom he's never seen in person. I stand up from my table in the corner, walk through the hall to the stage. Boris notices me first. Surprise on his face changes to understanding. Then other guests turn around. Bewildered looks. That's that woman, Oleg's wife. What is she doing? I climb onto the stage. Boris extends the microphone to me. His hand trembles slightly. The hall falls silent. Everyone looks at me, at the gray mouse in a cheap dress, standing on stage where the CEO should be. I look at Oleg. He stands in the front row, frowns, doesn't understand what's happening. Good evening, I say into the microphone. The voice sounds quiet but firm. My name is Alina Sergeyevna Sokolova. I am the CEO and owner of TechBuild Investments. Silence hangs. Absolute, ringing silence. Oleg looks at me. His face gradually changes, bewilderment, incomprehension, then realization. His eyes widen. Many of you are seeing me in such an informal appearance for the first time. I continue, surveying the hall. Usually I appear at business meetings in a suit with a different hairstyle, different makeup. But today I came as I am, or rather as my husband sees me. I pause, letting the words hang in the air. My husband Oleg has been working at this company for 4 years. He didn't know that I own it. I hid this from him from the very beginning of our acquaintance, because I wanted to make sure he loved me myself, not my money and position. Whispering begins in the hall. People exchange glances, point at Oleg. He stands motionless, white as a sheet. 4 years, I say, and my voice sounds louder, more confident. 4 years, I lived in the role of a poor housewife, endured humiliation, criticism, neglect. Listened to how my husband told me what a bad housekeeper I am, how poorly I cook, how poorly I look. Received from him $1,500 a month for household expenses, while I myself was paying him a salary of $12,000. The whispering in the hall intensifies. Someone laughs nervously, awkwardly. And you know what's most interesting? I look directly at Oleg. This evening, when we arrived here, my husband told me, sit quietly. Don't attract attention. You're just a wife, a housewife. Nothing special. I take a step forward to the edge of the stage. Nothing special. So, dear Oleg, allow me to introduce you to this nothing special. I own this company. I own the apartment we live in. I pay all the bills you think you pay yourself. I signed the documents for your hiring. I approved your salary, your bonuses, your benefits. All these 4 years you've been working for me without even suspecting it. Oleg opens his mouth, tries to say something, but can't. Next to him stands Inga. Her face is confused, frightened. And also, I continue. For the last 6 months you've been cheating on me with an employee of this company, with Inga Malinina, architectural design specialist. I know about it. I've seen surveillance camera recordings from the office. I've seen receipts from restaurants you paid for with the corporate card. And today, when you brought me here and told me to sit in the corner so I wouldn't embarrass you, you didn't even think that this gray mouse in a cheap dress is your employer. Deathly silence reigns in the hall. Everyone looks at me, then at Oleg, then back at me. Someone takes out their phone, probably filming. Let them film. I'm not hiding anymore. Oleg takes a step forward. His face is red, sweat appears on his forehead. Alina, this is some misunderstanding. His voice trembles. I don't understand what's happening. You don't understand? I smirk. Fine, I'll explain again slowly. I am your employer. This company is mine. And you know what's most amusing? When 4 years ago you responded to the vacancy, I personally reviewed your resume. I hoped that work at a good company would help you realize yourself, become successful, that you'd be grateful to fate for the chance. And instead, I look at Inga, who's trying to hide behind someone's back. Instead, you started an affair with my employee, took her to restaurants on corporate money, came home smelling of her perfume, lied to my face, saying you were held up at work. Alina, listen. Oleg raises his hands, trying to calm me like a mental patient. Let's discuss this at home, calmly, without strangers. Without strangers. I laugh, and the laugh comes out sharp, almost hysterical. Oleg, you just publicly introduced me to these people. Remember what you said half an hour ago. He turns even paler, silent. I'll remind you. I continue, turning to the hall. When his colleague asked who I was, Oleg answered. I pause. He told his buddy in the smoking room. I heard this. That's my maid who came along. I brought her for propriety. The real wife is her, and pointed at Inga. Gasps sound in the hall. Someone shakes their head. Inga cries out, That's not true. I didn't know anything. He said he was divorced. Oleg sharply turns to her. Shut up. No, I won't shut up. Inga's voice trembles, tears in her eyes. You said you were divorced, that this woman was just an acquaintance who had nowhere to go. You promised we'd be together, that you'd get a promotion, and we. I said, shut up. Oleg roars, and shocked silence reigns in the hall. There it is, the real face, without masks, without pretense. I descend from the stage, walk to Boris. Is security here? Yes, at the entrance. He nods. Call them, please. In a minute, 2 security guards in uniform enter the hall. I approach them, speak quietly but so the first rows can hear. Escort Mr. Oleg Sokolov and Ms. Inga Malinina from the building. They are no longer employees of the company. Their passes are blocked. Access to the office is closed. What? Oleg snaps out of his stupor. You can't fire me. We have a contract. A contract that has a clause about corporate ethics violations. I answer calmly. Office romance, using corporate resources, lying to the employer, misuse of corporate card. That's more than enough to terminate the contract without severance pay. Your personal belongings from the office will be delivered to you tomorrow by courier. You, he screams, and his face contorts with rage. For 4 years you messed with my head, pretended to be poor. I spent my money on you, fed you. My money, I correct, which I myself paid you as salary. And the apartment is mine, and the car was bought with my credit, which I took out through a shell company. You have nothing, Oleg, nothing at all. He rushes toward me, but the guards intercept him. One takes his arm, the other shields me. Let go. I'll talk to her now. Alina, you'll regret this. I'll sue you. I'll take half of everything you have. Try it, I say coldly. We have a prenuptial agreement that you signed before the wedding. Remember? It clearly states the division of property. Everything each person had before marriage stays with them. Everything bought during marriage is divided equally. But since formally I didn't work and had no income, and you were the sole breadwinner, there's nothing to divide. Except maybe our pots and that suit of yours. Oleg jerks, tries to break free from the guard's grip. Escort him out, I order. The guards drag him to the exit. He screams, spits, cursing me. The entire hall watches this shameful procession. Someone films on their phone. Inga stands to the side, crying. The second guard approaches her. Ms. Malinina, please come with me. I really didn't know, she sobs, looking at me. He said you were divorced, that you'd parted. I didn't want to. It doesn't matter what you wanted. I interrupt. You violated corporate ethics. We have strict rules about office romances, especially when they affect the work process. You're free. You won't get a recommendation letter. She lowers her head, goes to the exit. The guard escorts her. I turn to the hall. Everyone is silent, looking at me. I see different emotions. Shock, sympathy, curiosity, condemnation. I apologize for this scene, I say, trying to keep my voice steady. It wasn't planned as part of the entertainment program, but sometimes truth requires public acknowledgement. The event continues. Boris Mihailovich, please continue the presentation. Boris nods, takes the stage. The lights dim again. Slides appear on the screen. But I see people exchanging glances, whispering. The presentation now goes on as background noise. I walk to my table in the corner, sit down, take out my phone, write a message to my lawyer. Start divorce proceedings. All documents are ready. The answer comes instantly. Understood. We'll file tomorrow. I put the phone on the table. My hands are shaking. Only now does it dawn on me what happened. I did it. Revealed the truth. Ended the 4-year game. And for some reason, I don't feel relief at all. Only emptiness. Alina Sergeyevna. Boris quietly sits down next to me. Do you feel unwell? No. Everything's fine. Are you sure? Maybe you should leave? I'll finish the event myself. I shake my head. No, I'll stay until the end. I'm the CEO of this company, and I should be here. He nods, understandingly squeezes my shoulder. All right, then allow me to just say, you're a strong woman. You did well. Strong. Yes, probably. Or just cornered with no choice left. The event continues for another hour. People gradually return to normal communication. Those sidelong glances in my direction don't stop. Someone approaches, tries to express support. Someone just silently nods. Investors behave professionally, discuss the project, ask questions, show interest in details. For them, the CEO's personal drama is an annoying hindrance but not a reason to refuse a profitable investment. When everything ends, I'm one of the last to leave the hall. Boris escorts me to the car, a company vehicle with a driver who patiently waited all this time. Thank you, I tell him, for the support, for everything. Alina Sergeyevna, what now? Now divorce, then work. Life goes on. He looks at me with doubt. And you? Personally, how will you be? I don't know what to answer, so I just shrug. We'll see. I get in the car. The driver takes me not to that apartment on the outskirts. I'll never return there, but to my real apartment in the city center. 3 bedrooms, high ceilings, panoramic windows with a river view. I rarely come here, only on business. But now this is my home again. I go up in the elevator, open the door. The apartment greets me with silence and coolness. I walk into the living room, turn on the light. Everything is in its place. Designer furniture, paintings on the walls, fresh flowers in vases. The housekeeper maintains order. I sit on the couch, pull off my shoes, my feet are aching. I take off this awful gray dress, crumple it up, and throw it in the corner. I'll never wear it again. I go to the bathroom, turn on hot water. I stand under the shower for a long time until my skin turns red from the temperature. I wash off the image of the gray mouse, the humiliation, the lies. When I come out wrapped in a terry bathrobe, my phone is exploding with messages. Calls, texts, social media notifications. The video from the event has already spread across the internet. Someone posted it publicly, and now my story is being discussed everywhere. Millionaire wife exposed cheating husband at corporate party. CEO lived in poverty for 4 years to test her husband. Public humiliation. How a wife took revenge on her cheating husband. I don't open the comments. Don't want to read what strangers write. Someone will support, someone will condemn. There will always be those who say, it's her own fault. Why did she pretend? You don't test men like that. I turn off my phone. I lie down in bed, wide, comfortable with fresh linens. So unlike that narrow bed in the apartment on the outskirts where I huddled on the edge, afraid to disturb Oleg. I close my eyes, and for the first time in 4 years I cry. Not from pain, from relief. From the fact that it's finally over. 3 months pass quickly. The divorce is processed without problems. Oleg tries to fight, hires lawyers, demands compensation for emotional damages. But the prenup is ironclad, and there's enough evidence of his infidelity. In the end, he gets exactly nothing. He moves out of the apartment, taking only personal belongings. I learn that he's trying to find work. But after that story, which spread throughout the city, few want to associate with someone who deceived his own wife-employer. Too big a reputational risk. Inga also disappears, moves to another city, according to rumors. The company experiences a short-lived scandal, but quickly recovers. Our projects are successful. Finances are stable. Clients are satisfied. The CEO's personal life is just gossip that's forgotten over time. I return to work with new energy. I conduct meetings, sign contracts, launch new projects. Now I appear in the office personally without cover and masks. Employees treat me with respect, though many were initially wary. Boris once says, Alina Sergeyevna, you've changed. Become tougher somehow. Not tougher, I answer. I just stopped hiding. I sell the apartment on the outskirts. Let it serve as a home for someone else. And I settle into my real apartment, buy new furniture, change the interior, make it as I like it, without regard for someone else's opinion. One day, 3 months after that memorable evening, I'm walking through the city after a business meeting. The sun is shining. It's spring on the streets. People are smiling. I stop by a cafe, the same one where I once met Oleg. I sit by the window, order coffee, look at passers-by, and suddenly I realize I'm free. Truly free. I don't need to pretend anymore, lie, hide. Don't need to endure humiliation. Listen to criticism. Wait for crumbs of attention. I just exist. Alina Sokolova, 31 years old. Successful entrepreneur, company owner. A woman who went through pain and came out stronger. My phone vibrates. A message from Boris. New project approved. Investors are satisfied. We can start construction. I smile, type a response. Excellent. Let's discuss details tomorrow. I put the phone on the table, drink my coffee. Outside the window, life continues. People hurry about their business. Cars drive along roads. Music plays somewhere. I think about what was about 4 years I spent on an illusion. About how I wanted to test whether a man could love me without money. And about getting an answer, cruel but honest. No, Oleg couldn't. He didn't love me, but convenience. Loved the opportunity to criticize, to elevate himself, to feel his superiority. And when that wasn't enough, he found another woman, young and beautiful, to compensate for what was missing in the marriage. But I don't regret it, because now I know the truth about myself. I'm stronger than I thought, capable of enduring humiliation and not breaking, capable of making difficult decisions and seeing them through. capable of living forward without looking back at the past. My phone vibrates again. This time a call. Unknown number. Hello. Good afternoon. A man's voice, pleasant, confident. Is this Alina Sergeyevna Sokolova? Yes, it's me. My name is Andrew. We met at the presentation of your new project a month ago. I represented the investment fund. I remember, tall man about 35 in a gray suit, asked smart questions about the project's financial model. Yes, I remember. I'm listening. I'm not calling about business. I mean, formally about business. But I wanted to invite you to dinner, to discuss possible cooperation and just get to know each other better, if you don't mind. I look out the window where spring sun illuminates the street. Andrew, I recently got divorced, I say honestly, and I'm not ready for a relationship yet. I know, he answers. Forgive me, but that story is quite widely known. And I'm not proposing a relationship. Just dinner, conversation, no obligations. I hesitate. Before, I would have refused immediately. But now something has changed. I've changed. All right, I hear my own voice. Let's meet. But really just as business partners. Agreed. Agreed. Tomorrow at 7 p.m.? Choose the restaurant yourself. I'll adjust. Tomorrow at 7. I'll send the address. I hang up. I look at my reflection in the phone screen. I see a woman who's smiling. Not forced, not politely. Just smiling. Maybe it's foolish to agree to a meeting 3 months after divorce. Maybe it's too soon. But I'm not promising anything to myself or him. It's just dinner, just conversation. And then we'll see. I finish my coffee, go outside. I walk through spring New York, feel the wind tousling my hair. I've grown it out again, colored it, put myself back together, bought a new wardrobe, suits, dresses, shoes. Not for someone else. For myself. Because I deserve it. I pass by store windows, cafes where couples sit, a park where children play. Life around me boils, flows, doesn't stop for a second. And my life continues too. For years ago, I made a choice to hide the truth to test love. It was a mistake. But this mistake taught me the main thing. You can't build relationships on lies. Even if the lie is for good, even if it's dictated by fear. Real love doesn't need tests. It either exists or it doesn't. Oleg didn't love me. Perhaps never loved me. He loved the idea of a convenient wife he could control. And when control became boring, he found a new toy. But that's his loss, not mine. I return to my car, get behind the wheel, drive through the city that now seems different, brighter, freer, full of possibilities. I stop at a traffic light. A car pulls up next to me. A man looks out the window. I don't recognize him immediately, but then I understand. Oleg. He sees me too. His face tenses. Lips compress into a thin line. He's behind the wheel of an old car. Dressed simply, looks tired. Our eyes meet. I could look away, could pretend I didn't recognize him. But I look him in the eyes and calmly smile. Not gloating, not vengefully. Just smile. The light turns green. I drive on without looking back. This chapter of my life is closed. Painful, difficult, but closed. Ahead opens a new, clean page on which I'll write my own story. Without lies, without pretense, without games. Just my life, real. And I'm ready to live it.